equity into Mobank Limited through the Mobank Holdings Limited, where government is the sole shareholder. Mobank Limited is a subsidiary owned by Mobank Holdings Limited. I'm informed, Madam Speaker, that over the period from September 2015 to November 2024, government has injected funds amounting to 3.69 billion rupees. As follows: 1.5 billion rupees on the 17th of September 2015 for the acquisition of shares in ex-Mauritius Post and Cooperative Bank Limited and ex-National Commercial Bank Limited. B, 300 million rupees on the 29th of October 2015 to enable Mobank to meet its regulatory capital requirements. C, 1.3 billion rupees on the 13th of January 2016 to enable Mobank Limited to meet its regulatory capital requirements. As I said before, again, same thing. D, 500 million rupees on the 1st of April 2024 for the growth and expansion of the bank. Government, I must say, Madam Speaker, has not yet received any return on the investment from Mobank Holdings Limited since its incorporation in September 2015.
Thank you. Yes, the Honourable Second Member for Rodrigues.
Thank you very much. B537.
Madam Speaker, concerning Part A of the question, I've been informed that the projects and programs relating to Rodrigues Island have been included in the total amount of public sector investment program of 2025-2026 to 2029-2030. In this regard, for the financial year 2025-2026, a total provision of 785 million rupees has been made in the performance-based budget estimates of 2025-2026 under the program 0205 Rodrigues and Outer Islands as capital grant to Rodrigues Regional Assembly for appropriation by the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that in its budget for financial year 2025-2026, the RRA made a provision, that is the Rodrigues Regional Assembly, made a provision of 990 million rupees for the implementation of capital projects. However, taking into account the implementation capacity as well as the state of preparedness of the projects, government has provided 785 million rupees. In fact, for the current financial year, that is 2024-2025, a total sum of 1.285 billion rupees was voted by the National Assembly as capital grant to the Rodrigues Regional Assembly. However, as at date, the latter has only spent 479 million, that is 37% of the allocated budget. As regards to Part B of the question, following discussions at technical level, a total sum of 5,605 million rupees was initially agreed between the Minister of Finance and the RRA for the financial year of 2025-2026 as follows: 4.82 billion for recurrent expenditure and 785 million for capital expenditure. However, on the 10th of April of 2025, the Rodrigues Regional Assembly presented a budget of 6 billion 86 million rupees in the Regional Assembly, of which 5 billion and 96 million rupees was for the recurrent expenditure and 990 million for capital expenditure. On the 18th of April of this year, government considered the proposals and has agreed to increase the provision for recurrent expenditure by 180 million to 5 billion rupees, while the sum for capital expenditure has been maintained at 785 million rupees. The Rodrigues Regional Assembly has already been informed of the budget allocation agreement by government for financial year 2025-2026, and the Rodrigues Regional Assembly will amend its budget accordingly. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that in addition to the 785 million rupees provided as capital grant for the financial year 2025-2026, an amount of around 1.6 billion has also been included in budget for the various other projects. These include 1 billion rupees for the construction of the new runway at Plankoai and 340 million for water-related projects, as well as 60 million for drain projects in Rodrigues.
I'm sure you can come back on all this during the debate. I will proceed with the next question, therefore. We don't have much time left. The Honourable third member, no, I'm sorry, the Honourable, I think we've done 538 already, so the Honourable second member for Rivière-des-Anvilles, Souillac.
Merci, madame. Question B539, s'il vous plaît.
Madam Speaker, I thank the honourable member for asking this question. In fact, NG & Company Limited is owned by Nandan Gopi and Vinash Gopi, who were very, very close to the previous Prime Minister. On the basis of information gathered, NG & Company Limited was awarded the following contracts. One, a contract awarded by the NSGC Limited on the 29th of April 2015 for the construction of 73 low-cost housing units and associated infrastructural works and 13 service plots at Petit Bel-Air. The initial amount of the contract was estimated at 88 million rupees. However, a final payment of 110 million rupees was made to NG & Company Limited to cater for variation works estimated at 22 million rupees. I wish to inform the House that NG & Company Limited had subcontracted the entire work to Big Construction Limited for an amount of 76 million rupees. Hence, NG & Company Limited pocketed the difference, that is an amount of 34 million rupees, for a project it acted only as a middleman. This is clearly in violation of the condition of the contract. Two, another contract awarded by NSGC Limited on the 29th of September 2016 for the construction of 50 housing units and associated infrastructural works at Souillac for a sum of 82 million rupees. On the 29th of December 2017, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, after an international bidding exercise, awarded the contract for the construction of the new ENT hospital at Vakwa to a joint venture led by Rama Civil, India Corporation, PVT Limited, and NG & Company Limited for a sum of 926.2 million rupees. 4, NG & Company Limited was awarded on the 22nd of May 2023 through direct procurement a contract for the design and construction of 800 housing units for a total amount of 2.2 billion rupees by the National Social Living Development Limited. However, on the 3rd of July 2023, NSLD terminated the contract due to failure by the latter to comply with the terms of the letter of acceptance and the conditions of contract. I'm informed that NG & Company Limited, in fact, wanted to subcontract the work again to other companies as it did in the previous projects. In addition, Madam Speaker, I must point out that NG & Company Limited has benefited from various other largesse. These include a sum of 550 million rupees from the MIC for the construction of the luxury retirement village known as Royal Green. It is worth pointing out that MIC was supposed to support systemically large, important, and viable corporations or companies incorporated in Mauritius which are financially distressed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Second, a 3-acre plot of land in Eben through Landscope, following which it contracted a loan of 600 million rupees from the SBM for a building project on a plot of land retrieved from Mauritius Post Limited, which was the lessee. 3, at its 7 Exchange Square building in Eben, SBM, the very bank that lent money to NG & Company Limited, acquired several floors and 50 attached parking slots for 283.5 million rupees. Fourth, there was the same building, 7 Exchange Square. The EDB signed a lease agreement on the 9th of August 2019 for 5,000 square meters of office space and 130 parking slots. On the 30th of May 2024, the EDB signed a second lease agreement for an additional office space of 170 square meters at the ground floor at the same building and also 2 additional parking slots. ADB currently pays 4,068,000 rupees per month for this rented space. So far, the EDB has paid a total rental amount of 104 million rupees and 900,000 from December 2022 to date, and a syndic fees of 7.2 million rupees. FSC pays 5,174,460 rupees per month to NG Company Limited for the rental of 5 floors and 135 parking slots at X7 Exchange Square. 6, a contract between Mauritius Telecom and Royal Green for the provision of medical services by the Royal Green Hospital to employees of MT for an estimated amount of 13,038,749 rupees for over 3 years. 7th, financial support from Industrial Finance Corporation Limited to the tune of 64 million rupees to Royal Green Healthcare Limited. 8th, Mauritius Ports Authority granted a lease of 25 years of a plot of 1 hectare of land in the port area of NG Marine Services, which is part of the NG Group of companies. 9th, NG Company Limited also benefited from a lease of state land for its luxury villa project, Asmara at Rivière-Noire, from which it pocketed hundreds of millions of rupees from the sale of the villas. Madam Speaker, the House may also wish to know that on the 15th of April 2024, a decision was taken by the then government to relocate the office of the Financial Crimes Commission on the flimsy excuse of infrastructural defects in the building. This was but a ploy to lease the land to NG Company Limited, which had already benefited from the land retrieved forcibly from the Tamil Cultural Center. This formed part of the strategy of NG Company Limited to expand its domain of the entire Rajwi Triangle with the blessings of the former government. Madam Speaker, let me also add a few words about the land scam initiated by the management of Landscope Limited in 2019, a few months, that is, before the general elections. This related to a decision of the board to allocate 550 acres of prime land in a strategically located area at the heart of Côte d'Or City project under the Landscope Development Scheme. This project was estimated at more than 25 billion rupees. Despite the fact that following an expression of interest exercise, 32 developers were deemed eligible to receive plots, the board, under the leverage of the cabinet and then the then Prime Minister personally, decided to allocate the land to only 2 companies, out of which 250 acres were to be given to NG and Company Limited. Madam Speaker, Mr. Gérard Sampeur, the then chairperson of Landscope, vehemently opposed the decision, raising serious concerns about the lack of transparency, fairness, and procedural irregularities. He stood firm despite thinly veiled threats for resisting a recommendation of the cabinet. He insisted that the matter be referred to the State Law Office. Following the advice of the State Law Office, the board had to rescind the decision, thus aborting what was going to be another scam, probably the scam of the century. Shortly after that, Mr. Sampeur resigned as chairperson of the board and as principal advisor to the then Prime Minister. Madam Speaker, the House will recall that just before the general election last year, a strategic plot of land in the area of Anse-Larrey Beach was allocated to Luxury Suisse Limited, another entity owned by NG Company Limited. In view of the major public outcry that followed, he had no choice but to abandon the project. Madam Speaker, if we compute the total figures NG Company Limited has so far benefited, it is around 2 billion rupees for various projects, around 205 million rupees for rental of office space to government entities, and around 1.25 billion rupees as direct financial support from SBM Limited, the MIC, and the Industrial Finance Corporation Limited. It should be pointed out, Madam Speaker, that Mr. Vinesh Gopi chaired several bodies, including the Tourism Authority, the Mauritius Multi-Sports Infrastructure, the Drains Infrastructure Construction, among others. Madam Speaker, all the information I've given to the House show clearly that the MSM government has systematically, since 2015, weaved a cobweb of corruption, malfeasance, nepotism, and cronyism to bleed the country of important resources for their personal advantage. This is but one example how they fleeced the economy and left the country in the mess that we find ourselves today.
No, I'm sorry. Okay. No, time is up. I'm sorry, time is up. Time is up, Honourable Member. So, next time. Okay, honourable members, the table has been advised that PQB 540, which was coming just after, has been withdrawn. So we now move to questions addressed to honourable ministers. I'm sorry, Honourable Jaman, but I have to respect. Time is up. You will come back. You're still young.
I just wanted to know an inquiry, free inquiry within the table.
You don't have the floor. Yes, all right. Now, the Honourable Second Member for Belrose Quatre-Bornes.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. B542.
Madam Speaker, I am informed that following the COVID-19 pandemic, the State Trading Corporation sold the services of its then service provider, namely Moriclean Limited, to disinfect its premises in view of resumption of work and other economic activities in May 2020. However, the latter was not operational during this period. I am further informed that the STC then launched a tender for the decontamination of its head office at Eben, its 2 warehouses in Mer Rouge and Rochebois, and for its fleet of vehicles to 7 potential bidders. Of these 7 companies, 6 submitted their quotations, which were as follows: Services 2000 Limited for 68,000, Alpha Pest Management for 99,215, Niti Select Limited for 91,000 during normal hours, and 121,000 for odd hours. Pagello Cleaning Services Limited for 176,525. Final Cleaning Limited for 565,539. Aqua Science and Technology Limited for 61,399 and 11 cents. Based on the evaluation exercise carried out by the STC, the contract was awarded to Niti Select Limited, which was found by the STC to be the lowest substantially responsive bidder for the price of 121,000 rupees. Madam Speaker, I am also informed that in June 2020, the STC carried out a second decontamination exercise in one of its warehouses and its vehicles. The STC availed itself of the services of Niti Select directly on the same terms and conditions as the first contract for a total value of 85,000 rupees. I am further informed by the STC that based on the certification of the Health and Safety Officer of the STC that the decontamination exercise were successfully carried out in his presence, the total cost of 206,000 for the disinfection carried out by Niti Select Limited at the STC post-COVID was paid to the contractor.
Yes. Supplementary.
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Can the Minister inform the House whether he is aware that the manual workers of the STC are claiming that they did the cleaning and they were promised to get paid. And unfortunately, they did not get any remuneration for the cleaning, which they did at the STC head office building at Eben, STC warehouse at Mer Rouge, and STC warehouse at Rochebois. Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Madam Speaker, I have also heard the same version. However, the management of the STC is insisting that the disinfection was carried out by the employees of ETSLEC. On the other hand, the manual workers at the STC are claiming that they did the job without any remuneration, which was promised by the then management of the STC. The STC, however, confirmed that the maintenance section and a few handy workers actually carried out the following: internal and external cleanings at the STC head office, internal and external cleanings at Shed A and Rochebois warehouses. Madam Speaker, I will request the board of the STC to do an investigation, and the matter will be referred to the FCC if need be.
Yes. Thank you. Yes, Honourable German.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can I know from the Honourable Minister the date of incorporation of the company, nature of business, and also the date contract was awarded?
Madam Speaker, I have the information from the Register of Companies. The date incorporated was 21st of April 2020. The name of the company, Niti Select Limited. The category is domestic. The status is live under winding up process. And the contract was awarded on the next month, which was in May 2020.
After incorporation, you mean? Next month after incorporation? Yes. Yes?
Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. Can the Minister inform the House who is the General Manager and the shareholders of Niti Select Limited? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, as per the Registrar of Companies, Mrs. Keshwari Punit is the GM, and the sole shareholder is Miss Nita Nurchet.
Yes, last one. Yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would the Minister inform the House if the contractor is specialized or accredited in biohazard or pandemic-related sanitation? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I don't think so. As per the Registrar of Companies, it is written domestic and nature private. I am also informed from the STC that no due diligence was carried out. I am informed that the National Audit Office even raised concerns that the STC did not do so.
All right. Honourable members, the table has been informed that PQB 543 has been withdrawn. So now we move to the second member for Quartier Militaire and Moka, Dr. Tanu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question B544, please.
Madame la Présidente, j'ai été informé que la Central Electricity Board étudie un projet d'installation de 2 turbines à gaz de 40 MW chacune, possiblement à Fort George, à proximité de la centrale électrique existante. Le projet comprendrait la conception, la fourniture, l'installation et les essais et la mise en service de 2 turbines à gaz en configuration à cycle ouvert. Ces turbines pourront être ultérieurement converties en turbines à gaz à cycle combiné, offrant un rendement accru. Madame la Présidente, cette proposition a été évoquée suite aux défis auxquels la CEB a dû faire face au cours des mois d'été de 2024-2025 en raison d'une augmentation significative de la demande d'électricité et des pannes fréquentes des moteurs des producteurs d'électricité indépendants et de la CEB en raison de l'entretien et des réparations. Les éventuelles turbines à gaz proposées seraient utilisées par la CEB pour répondre à la demande de pointe du soir et servir de secours d'urgence pour les projets d'énergie renouvelable. Mon ministère, Madame la Présidente, et mon ministère, le CEB, travaillent actuellement sur des mesures à court, moyen et long terme pour assurer surtout la sécurité énergétique et la transition énergétique verte. La CEB se concentre actuellement sur la mise en œuvre des mesures urgentes pour répondre à la demande d'électricité pour la prochaine saison estivale. Parallèlement, les travaux sont menés sur le lancement des nouveaux programmes et projets visant à dynamiser le secteur des énergies renouvelables, tout en développant des projets durables à long terme pour assurer une plus grande résilience du secteur énergétique.
Merci. Yes. No, yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can we have an indication of the time framework for the implementation of the project, please?
Je voudrais préciser que ce genre de projet prenne 2 ans à 3 ans pour se matérialiser. Nous sommes au stade de réflexion en ce qui concerne le court terme, le moyen terme et le long terme. Dans le court terme, ce sera la sécurité énergétique du pays. Dans le moyen terme, des projets tels que 2 ans, 2 ans et demi, et dans le très long terme, 4 ans, 5 ans pour la vision énergétique du pays.
Yes, all right. So now we move to second member for Belrose 4
B545. Merci.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, according to information available, works related to the greening and embellishment of Hillcrest Avenue, Sudnaki classified road, were implemented in the year 2022 at a cost of around 3 million rupees. Consultations were then held by the Ministry with relevant authorities, namely the then Minister of National Infrastructure and Community Development, the RDA, the Energy Services Division, the Municipal Council of Travaux, including the Traffic Management and Road Safety Unit. Madam Speaker, the Traffic Management and Road Safety Unit had submitted its recommendations for the project, namely with regard to proper visibility at each junction, height of trees and bushes, as well as flower pots, so that they do not constitute a road safety hazard. All the recommendations were taken on board by the Ministry then. Madam Speaker, I received many representations from inhabitants of the region and also the MPs of the region with regard to road safety and the removal of the flower pots. My ministry therefore intends to convene a stakeholders meeting to reassess the project. My colleague of the constituency number 18 will be consulted accordingly.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Are you all right? Yes, one question.
Yes, one question. Je vous remercie, Madame la Présidente. 3 millions. 3 millions dépensés pour des pots de fleurs qui nuisent à la visibilité et mettent en danger les usagers de l'avenue Hillcrest. C'est inacceptable. Will the Minister inform the House whether he intends to meet with all relevant stakeholders to reassess the situation and take the appropriate corrective measures in the interest of the public safety? Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I've said so. Myself, I'm not satisfied, but we are maintaining what has been done, which I can't say it's a mess, but it's creating a lot of problems. And all who reside and use the Hillcrest Avenue, which is a class road, I'm sure my colleague Honorable Ganesh has also received response. So we'll be looking into the project and liaise with you and other colleagues to see what can be done to remedy the situation and do something better.
Thank you. Thank you. Honourable members, PQB 546 and also PQB 561, we have been advised that they have been withdrawn. So now I move to Honourable First Member for Port Louis North and Montagnard.
Thank you, Madam. B547.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that children with disabilities, including 69 children with autism, are already being accommodated in 10 integrated units set up in 12 primary schools. These 12 SEN integrated units are headed by trained educators to cater for learners with autism and have dedicated classrooms with the following facilities. 1, therapy services. 2, hot meals. 3, use of tablets. 4, transport facilities. Free transport facilities by bus is provided to the learners, and a refund system for bus fare for accompanying parents is provided by the Ministry of Social Integration, Social Security and National Solidarity. And 5th, support of teacher assistants and carers. Activities such as Music Day, Sports Day, educational outings are also organized for these learners. Moreover, there are also around 30 learners with autism who are accommodated in the inclusive setup in the mainstream primary schools. These learners are also provided with the support of teacher assistants and carers and benefit from all extracurricular activities at the level of the schools. In addition, all learners with autism in both SEN integrated units and in the mainstream primary schools attend therapy services at the 7 special education needs resource development centers and the 3 special education needs resource development units, as scheduled by the allied professionals. Transport facilities are provided to them accordingly. Madam Speaker, I wish to highlight that in budget 2025-2026, my ministry has been allocated funds to a tune of 8 million rupees for the upgrading of existing 7 special education needs resource development centers and the setting up of 5 additional special education needs resource development units and SEN integrated units in primary schools. All necessary facilities will be extended to these units. My ministry will start the necessary procedures for the setting up and upgrading of these new units. Thank you.
You happy, Ms. Sababati? Yes. Honourable second member for Vieux-Grand-Port.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is question B/548, please.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Madam Speaker, I wish to apprise the House that according to the MCI Act, a small planter is defined as a planter cultivating cane of an extent of less than 10 hectares. With regards to Part A of the question, I'm informed by the Sugar Insurance Fund Board that in 2014, there were 14,807 small sugarcane planters registered, and they harvested 863,113 tons of sugarcane, which produced 65,759 tons of sugar. With regards to Part B of the question, I'm informed that there were 8,037 small planters registered in 2024, and they harvested 396,405 tons of sugarcane, which produced 30,273 tons of sugar. It is evident from the above-mentioned figures that 6,770 small sugarcane planters have abandoned their fields. That is a decrease of 46%, which has resulted in a decrease of 54% in the sugarcane harvested and sugar produced. Madam Speaker, the production of sugar has drastically fallen during these 10 years, not only due to natural calamities and loss of market share, but also to the fall in the price of sugar that have driven many small planters to abandon the land. The rise in the cost of mechanization, the decrease in local labor force in the sugar industry, and the increase in transfer of prime agricultural land in favor of infrastructure has largely contributed to the fall in sugar production. There was a clear lack of commitment from the non-authorities also to restructure the sugarcane industry. The government has made it a priority to revamp the sugarcane industry, to drive small planters as well as the corporate sector to move again in a more structured manner in the plantation of sugarcane and to make the sugar industry attractive again. As announced in the budget 25-26, the total revenue per ton of sugar will be increased to 35,000 rupees so as to encourage small planters towards replantation. Funding under the cane replantation scheme and cane replantation revolving fund have been enhanced in the budget to stimulate further production. These measures are expected to attract around 20,000 ARPA under cultivation. The targeted 5-year objective for sugarcane production has been set at 300,000 tons. Small sugarcane planters are important for this strategic initiative, and therefore the Ministry will ensure that they get full access to all support and schemes being made available. These measures will address and will tackle the cost of cane production issue and boost profitability to alleviate the difficulties presently being faced by small sugarcane planters.
Thank you. Yes, you're all right. Yes, the Honourable Third Member for Port Louis North and Montagne Longue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQB 549. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, I'm informed by the Local Government Service Commission, that is the LGSC, that since December 2014 to date, 10 chief executives and 11 deputy chief executives have been appointed. The list of the chief executive and deputy chief executive who have been appointed are being tabled. As to Part B, subsection 1 of the question, there are 2 vacancies in the grade of chief executive, namely at Municipal Council of Kirpip and District Council of Saban. And there are 4 vacancies in the grade of deputy chief executive, namely at Municipal Council of Katebol, Municipal Council of Bakwa Phoenix, District Council of Boca, and District Council of Black River. Madam Speaker, arrangement has been made for the assignment of duties at the level of chief executive and deputy chief executive on the basis of administrative convenience, pending recruitment in the respective grades by the Local Government Service Commission. The vacancies in the above grades have already been reported to the Local Government Service Commission on 11 December 2023, 13 May 2025, and 10 June 2025. Madam Speaker, I shall now answer to Part B, subsection 2 of the question, post of Chief Executive. Following the appointment of Mr. R.K. Nursing and Mr. D. Rikai to the post of Chief Executive in a temporary capacity, Mrs. T. Norsingen lodged an application for leave to apply for a judicial review against the decision and decision-making process of the Local Government Service Commission. She lodged the case before the Supreme Court in view of the fact that the Local Government Service Commission did not issue a notification for appointment as the recruitment exercise was made through both limited and open competition. As such, Mrs. Norsingen could not appeal to the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal. She sought redress from the Supreme Court by way of judicial review. However, the Supreme Court refused to grant leave to apply for judicial review and set aside the application on 10 October 2023. The Supreme Court was of the view that Mrs. Norsingen circumvented her right of appeal before the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal and resorted directly to judicial review, which is a discretionary remedy of last resort. Following the judgment of the Supreme Court, Mrs. Norsingen then made an appeal before the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal. The case was fixed for argument before the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal on 10 May 2024. Mr. Nursing and Mr. Rikai objected to the appeal of Mrs. Norsingen on account that her application was time-barred. The Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal ruled, and I quote, "The date of the aforesaid Supreme Court judgment should be considered as the date of appellant was duly notified, and that the 21 days should start running as from the date of judgment was delivered. The judgment was delivered on the 10th October 2023, and the appeal was lodged on the 27th October 2023. That is within the statutory delay." unquote. In view thereof, the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal decided to set aside the ground of objection of Mr. Nursing and Mr. Rodrigues and decided to hear the appeal, and a ruling was delivered on the 10th May 2024. And the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal has the jurisdiction to hear the appeal. Following the decision of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal, both temporary chief executives apply for judicial review against this ruling of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal. Both cases are before the Supreme Court. Also, the Local Government Service Commission lodged an application for judicial review of the advice of the State Law Office against the ruling of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal on 21st April 2025. It withdrew its application on a point of merit. Post of Deputy Chief Executive, Madam Speaker, during the first selection exercise on 7 September 2021, the Local Government Service Commission appointed Mrs. Uzia as Deputy Chief Executive. Mr. Basawan, Assistant Chief Executive, on 4th October 2021, lodged an appeal at the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal against the decision of the Commission to appoint Mrs. Uzia to the post of Deputy Chief Executive in a temporary capacity as the District Council of Rivière-du-Remport with effect from 15 September 2021. In its determination dated on 10 March 2023, the Tribunal had quashed the decision of the Commission in appointing the correspondent to the post of Deputy Chief Executive and remitted back the matter to this office in accordance with Section 8, Part 4, Subsection B of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal Act 2008. In a letter dated 13 March 2023, Mrs. Uzia informed that she would not apply for judicial review regarding the decision of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal. In the meantime, another vacancy occurred in the grade. The post of Deputy Chief Executive was re-advertised on 23rd March 2023, and the closing date was 5th April 2023. The Commission had, on 4th May 2023, appointed Mrs. Uzia and Mrs. Dial as Deputy Chief Executive in a temporary capacity at the District Council of Grand-Port and District Council of Rivière-du-Remport, respectively, as from the date of the assumption of duty. The appointees assumed duties on 5th May 2023. Mr. Basawan lodged an appeal against the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal on 13 May 2023 against the decision of the Commission to appoint Mrs. Uzia and Mrs. Dial to the post of Deputy Chief Executive in a temporary capacity in the District Council of Grand-Port and Rivière-du-Remport, respectively, with effect from 5th May 2023. The matter was heard before the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal on 12 September 2023. In its determination number D18 of 2023, dated 24 October 2023, the Tribunal quashed the decision of the Local Government Service Commission. On 9 November 2023, the Local Government Service Commission made an application for judicial review against this decision of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal. Mrs. Uzia and Mrs. Dial also applied for judicial review regarding the determination of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal. The matter was fixed for argument on 19 July 2024 before the Supreme Court on the motion for a stay of the decision of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal. In a ruling on 13 June 2025, the Supreme Court quashed the decision of the Public Bodies Appeal Tribunal and ruled that the Mrs. Uzia and Mrs. Dial should be maintained in their post of Deputy Chief Executive. Following the decision of the Supreme Court, the Local Government Service Commission has advised that the procedures are being initiated to maintain Mrs. Uzia and Mrs. Dial in their post of Deputy Chief Executive in a temporary capacity.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Kazian. All right. The Honourable Second Member for Quartier Militaire and Moka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question B550, please.
Madame la Présidente, j'ai été informé par la Central Water Authority que, conformément à sa politique établie, la CWA n'est pas en mesure de traiter des demandes de raccordement à l'eau dans des cas de morcellement illégaux, en particulier en absence d'infrastructures hydrauliques adéquates. Madame la Présidente, les morcellements illégaux sont des parcelles de terrain subdivisés et vendus par des promoteurs sans scrupules, en violation de la loi sur le morcellement et du règlement sur l'urbanisme et l'aménagement, et sans les permis et autorisations nécessaires. Les victimes, malheureusement, de ces promoteurs sont induites en erreur et l'acheteur croyant que le développement est conforme aux règles. Dans certains cas, on m'informe que même des faux permis de morcellement ont été délivrés. Le ministère du Logement et de l'Aménagement du Territoire m'informe que des mesures ont été prises pour remédier à la situation qui a touché malheureusement environ 300 propriétaires fonciers en mars dernier. Les formalités nécessaires sont effectuées par l'unité des morcellements du ministère du Logement. Cette mesure facilitera la mise en place d'infrastructures et des services publics adéquats, tels que l'approvisionnement en eau pour ces lotissements. Madame la Présidente, une fois le développement régularisé, la CWA peut envisager de traiter les demandes de raccordement l'eau sous réserve que les infrastructures d'eau requises soient mises en place.
Merci. Yes, Dr. Tanner, you're all right. The Honourable Third Member for Pamplemousse and Triolet.
Madam Speaker, question B551.
I thank the honourable member for his question. Madam Speaker, from information obtained from Statistics Mauritius, the importation of vegetables over the past few years has increased from 25,000 tons, 25,280 tons in 2023 to 34,644 tons in 2024, representing an increase by 37% within a single year. However, the rising trend can be attributed to adverse climate conditions that the country has had to face, such Cyclone Bilal in 2024. The largest share of these imports comprise potatoes, onions, garlics, which are strategic crops. The biggest suppliers of imported produce are from Egypt, India, Netherlands, and China. Imported vegetables serve niche markets such as the hospitality sector, and also to palliate to shortages which occur when cultivations are affected by adverse climatic conditions, namely cyclone, flash floods, and droughts. Additionally, potatoes and onions are imported as they cannot be cultivated year-round due to our agro-climatic conditions. For the year 2025, Madam Speaker, despite a low start due to the prolonged dry spell, the forecasted local production of vegetables is estimated at 179,210 tons. This will be sufficient to meet local demand, except for strategic crops like potatoes and onions, for which Agricultural Marketing Board is expecting to import some 13,000 tons, each to cater for unseasoned shortages. Madam Speaker, to make Mauritius a food circulation, the measures are now enunciated in the budget for consolidation of the agricultural sector speak for themselves, and action is being taken accordingly. There is a host of incentives that I will circulate to the Honourable
Thank you.
Member.
Thank you very much, Minister. Yes? Yes, Mr. Rontney?
Madam Speaker, can the Minister, taking into consideration the current retail prices of carrots and tomatoes, which are presently standing at approximately 200 rupees per kilo and 320 rupees per kilo, respectively, advise whether his ministry will consider the liberalization of the importation of vegetables with a view to better match supply with demand and thereby help bring down the price of vegetable on the local market.
I am for liberalization, subject where there is regularity and predictability. But you know as well as I do that some growers do, I won't say that they're unscrupulous, but they're involved in price fixing. And I make it a point to go to the market on Saturday together with my colleague MPs from the constituency number 18. We go to Market Fair in Catterboard, and as and when I have time, I have available time, I also go to the central market in Port Louis. Now, I'm not saying that the prices as high as the figures you've cited and given, but certainly, if ever there are unscrupulous growers taking advantage and fleecing consumers, the matter also can be referred to the minister responsible for consumer.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. Yes, I think it's Honourable Tanu, second member for Qualifications Militaire.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question B552, please.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, I am informed that the Cleaning Enterprises Employees Remuneration Regulation 2029, made under Section 93 of the Employment Relations Act of 2008, do not contain any provision prescribing minimum qualification for the post of cleaners. Presently, each cleaning company is free to set its own minimum qualification when recruiting cleaners. I'm also informed that during the last comprehensive review of the cleaning sector conducted in 2011-2012 by the National Remuneration Board, no representations were received from stakeholders pertaining to a minimum qualification requirement for cleaners. As regards the public sector, the qualification requirements for employees engaged in cleaning activities are as follows. General workers should be literate. Handy workers should hold a certificate of primary education, now Primary School Achievement Certificate, PESAP, and office auxiliaries should possess the Cambridge School Certificate or equivalent. Should a representation be made for the provision of a minimum requirement for cleaners in the Cleaning Enterprises Employees Remuneration Regulation 2019, consideration will be given thereto.
That's fine. Now I'm advised. Okay. The next one is first member for Port-Louis North.
Merci. B553.
Madam Speaker, the Sugar Industry Labour Welfare Fund, SILF, is responsible for community centres. Social welfare centres fall under the purview of the Social Welfare Division of my ministry. Madam Speaker, with your permission, I would provide my reply in connection with community centres. I am informed that there is a total number of 138 community centres across the island. With regard to Part B of the question, the Sugar Industry Labour Welfare Fund Act does not provide for committees to manage the community centres. However, in a spirit of good governance, community development associations, CDAs, are established in community centres and are aligned with the provision of Section 4 of the Government Social Welfare Centres Act of 1961, which regulates the establishment of social welfare committees. Madam Speaker, accordingly, community development associations are established and comprise 1. A community development officer who serves as ex-officio member, and 2. members who are appointed by the Minister on the recommendation of the Sugar Industry Labour Welfare Fund. The Minister also appoints a chairperson from among the association.
Yes.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. L'honorable ministre peut-elle expliquer à la Chambre comment se fait les appels à candidature à ce sujet? Est-ce que les membres de l'Assemblée nationale sont consultés à cet effet? Et quelle autorité supervise ces élections? Merci.
Madame la Speaker, il n'y a pas d'élection as such. No. Consultations are carried out with community leaders of the region falling in the vicinity of the region, of the center.
Yes. Yes. The next question, B554, has been withdrawn. B555 now. Third member for Vieux-Grand-Port, Rosbel, Mr. Ramdas.
Madam Speaker, B555 indeed, yes.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, social welfare centers fall, social welfare centers fall under the purview of the Social Welfare Division of my ministry. As regards the existing vacancies at the Sugar Industry Labour Welfare Fund, information is being compiled and a copy will be placed in the library of the National Assembly. Once the Finance Bill 2025 is adopted by the National Assembly and subject to the availability of funds, necessary arrangements will be made by the Sugar Industry Labour Welfare Fund to consider filling any existing vacancies.
Thank you. Yes. The Honourable First Member for Portrees North and Montaillon.
B556.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed that as at date, for a population of 1.2 million people in Mauritius, there are about 7,400,000 casualty cards and some 2,897,000 patient files in health record departments. These documents are spread across 109 community health centers, 18 area health centers, 12 mediclinics, 2 community hospitals, 5 regional hospitals, 2 district hospitals, and 6 specialized hospitals. Among the 7,400,000 casualty cards, around 1,078,000 are active. And for the 2,897,000 patient files, some 1,712,000 are active. Some 80,300 active patient files are handled at the level of hospitals every day, and the proper recording of these casualty cards and patient files is carried out by 197 officers of the health record cadre. Madam Speaker, as regard Part B of the question, I'm informed that from November 2024 till date, 19 patient files were found missing, of which 2 have been reported lost to the police. In the meantime, 4 of them have been recovered, while the search is still ongoing for the remaining ones. On the other hand, 24 casualty cards and 349 patient files were unavailable when required, as they were in use in other departments within the hospitals. These medical records are ultimately recovered by the Health Records Department. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A1 of the question, I wish to inform the House that all patients whose original file is presently unavailable are provided with appropriate care and treatment on the same day within the least possible delay by resorting to available reports, prescriptions, and temporary files until such time that the main file is found. Despite the huge number of medical records and movement of files within various departments in hospitals and other medical facilities, officers are doing their best to ensure that these files are properly tracked and kept, and the percentage of human error is almost zero. Madam Speaker, concerning Part A2 of the question, the attention of responsible officers is always drawn to be more cautious while manipulating patient medical records. Senior health record officers are required to ensure that their officers are familiar with and strictly adhere to medical records procedures with a view to ensuring that medical records do not go missing. Madam Speaker, as regards Part B of the question, health record staffs are required to report all cases of missing patient files immediately to the supervisors. These are recorded in the register of missing patient file. All hospitals have dedicated experienced officers who deal with missing files until they are available. If ever, after thorough search, a file is not available, those officers are required to report all cases of missing files to the police and to inform headquarters accordingly. Madam Speaker, I'm glad to inform the House that Phase 1 of the e-health project will soon be launched at the new hospital at Clark. In the first phase of the rollout of the project, a patient administration system, PAS, would be implemented as well as a patient portal. The project will subsequently be extended to other regional, district and specialized hospitals and primary healthcare centers, including mediclinics. Madam Speaker, the implementation of e-health project will further consolidate one patient, one record concept and will ensure availability of medical patient data in real time. This technological advancement is expected to eliminate challenges associated with lost or misplaced medical files, offering instant access to crucial patient data with a simple click. The adoption of e-health system brings a multitude of transformational change as to how healthcare will be delivered and managed. One of the most immediate and impactful advantages is the elimination of issues related to loss or misplaced medical files. With the e-health system, all medical information will be recorded digitally in a centralized and secure database. This will ensure instant and reliable access to crucial patient data for authorized healthcare providers, regardless of their location or time of the day. This immediate accessibility is vital in emergencies, during consultations, or when the patient moves between different healthcare centers. Madam Speaker, what the previous government had not been able to do in 10 years' time is being accomplished by this government in 8 months. This is what we call real change.
Yes.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. On parle ici du cœur du mal dans les institutions de santé publique. En attendant le e-health, le ministre a-t-il envisagé une formation du personnel pour éviter ce genre de désagrément? Merci.
Madam Speaker, I have already explained that repeatedly they are undergoing training regularly, and I'm repeatedly drawing the attention. But being given that there is a lack of medical officers, I have been mentioning since the very beginning, 1,500 nurses are missing. Record officers we don't have. One record officer on average is dealing with about 50 to 60 files per day. That becomes extremely impossible. And that is the reason why, instead of warning them, threatening them, I'm trying to encourage them, I'm trying to get them all together, because within months we are going to move from one system to a modern system.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, Dr. Umia, the expert.
So-called. As part of the question to curb the recurrence of pending lost files or missing files, can I ask the Honourable Minister whether he will consider having a dedicated desk at all outpatients department in regional hospital in a temporary basis to assist relatives and patients to retrieve notes until and so forth the e-system become fully available? Thank you.
You have already taken words from my mouth. In fact, in my budget speech, this is the proposition I am going to make.
Fantastic. You will all get a chance to have a bite at this issue, which is very important. I've got 5 minutes left. You insist on another question? Yes, all right.
Madame la Présidente, le ministre peut-il s'assurer que le personnel médical ait une approche humaine et ne refuse pas des soins aux patients, même si on ne retrouve pas son dossier? Merci.
Madam Speaker, it's all human. All of us are human beings. At times when they get overloaded, this happens to all of us. So at times it do happens, and in such a case, we can't do otherwise because we are human beings.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you. I've got 4 minutes left, so I will try a last question. That would be for third member for Port Peace North and Montano.
B557. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Road Development Authority that the maintenance and embellishment of roundabouts located along motorways and classified roads are undertaken either by private companies, government entities, or local authorities. Roundabout sponsorship is allocated on a first-come, first-served basis for an initial period of 3 years, with renewal possibilities subject to the satisfaction of the RDA. Presently, there is a total of 158 roundabouts located on motorways and classified roads, details regarding sponsorship of which are as follows. Out of the 40 roundabouts situated along motorways, 34 are being embellished and maintained through sponsorship by private companies. And second, out of 118 roundabouts located on classified roads, 61 are sponsored by private companies. With regard to part A1 and 2 of the question, with your permission, Madam Speaker, I'm tabling the information as requested by the Honourable Member in respect of the list of roundabouts sponsored by private companies. I'm also tabling information as requested in part B of the question regarding the remaining roundabouts not embellished and maintained by private companies, namely 6 on motorways and 57 on classified roads.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. Maybe I have a last one. The Honourable Second Member for Grand Bay Poudre d'Or, Mr. Bijan.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. B558.
Madame la Présidente, la Central Water Authority m'a informé qu'environ 1,7 km de tuyaux en amiante ciment ont été remplacés dans la région de Lower Vale, le long de Bamboo Road, Agowan Street, Farid Lane et Sitana Road. Cependant, les travaux de réfection de la route n'ont pas été réalisés. Madame la Présidente, comme je l'ai expliqué en réponse aux questions précédentes, PQ 152, 219 et 308, la raison du retard de la remise en état de la route dans le cadre de ce projet était due à des irrégularités de procédure dans la gestion du projet. La situation a maintenant été réglée et les autorisations nécessaires ont été obtenues pour procéder aux travaux en cours dans le cadre de ce projet. Je tiens à souligner, Madame la Présidente, que plusieurs kilomètres de route dans différentes régions de l'île sont en mauvais état et nécessitent une réfection suite aux travaux de pose de tuyaux effectués par la CWA. En plus d'avoir volé les tuyaux, bien sûr. Mon ministère examinera les travaux de remise en priorité. Des fonds ont été prévus à cet effet dans ce budget, donc là, la réflexion des travaux seront faites.
Yes. Just one question. You have 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
For answer as well.
Thank you. Can the Honourable Minister confirm to this House whether the inaction by the former government contributed to an excessive amount to repair similar road problems around the island so that the whole population can understand this?
Oui,
Thank you.
l'honorable membre a parfaitement raison, Madame la Présidente. Si on recommence à parler du 700 millions de roupies du projet Pipe Replacement Programme, avec le projet d'autres projets à 1 milliard de roupies qui a dépassé largement les 1,2 milliards de roupies. Ceci dit, nos routes n'ont pas pu être réasphaltées justement à cause les fonds ont été dilapidés par l'ancien gouvernement, donc enfin volés pour ne pas dire coquins, et cela sera fait dans les semaines à venir.
Okay, I have one supplementary. Okay.
Madame la Présidente, est-ce que l'honorable ministre peut considérer la possibilité d'avoir un seul contracteur pour la pose des tuyaux et le réasphaltage, parce que souvent il y a un grand décalage entre le remplacement des tuyaux et le réasphaltage, puisqu'il y a 2 contracteurs qui sont concernés et que ça prend beaucoup de temps et que ça cause beaucoup d'inconvénients aux automobilistes.
Madame la Présidente, j'apprécie la question de l'honorable. Bon, nous sommes en train de revoir tout ce département de procurement, mais bien sûr, il faudra respecter le procurement.
Thank you, everybody. I suspend the sitting for 1.5 hours. We're back at 2:30.